Good evening. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the evening of Sunday, the 21st of December. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at CTM The Bigger Picture Substack.com, and it's published on YouTube after a live a week. One announcement, obviously as Wednesday is Christmas Eve, I'm not going to do a Wednesday The Bigger Picture update this week, and the next one will therefore be next Sunday. Right, great. Let's start off with ES. Now, ES, I wrote about this on Friday. Hopefully you've read it. I was talking about the IHSs and other patterns which were forming or breaking up with targets close to retest of the high. This is something I'm expecting to see just because we've got bullish tape this week. We've got bullish leading tape on Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday is only a half day, of course. That's got neutral tape. Thursday is a holiday, obviously. It's Christmas Day, and Friday we've got a day, and that is bullish leading as well. We've got a bullish leading week, it's a holiday week, and we've got patterns which are breaking up, and I think chances are they're going to make targets and we'll go back up and retest the prior highs across the board. Now on ES, we've got an IHS which is broken up in the 69.70 area, didn't quite make it down to the head and shoulder target down here in the 67.40 area, but one thing I've noticed a lot and mentioned a lot of times before is that when you get a head and shoulders which breaks down, you will often get an IHS form if it's going to fail and break up, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Looking at the NQ chart, again, we had a head and shoulders break down. Again, it hasn't made target. Again, we've got an IHS which has formed and has broken up. And it's a pretty decent IHS, actually. I could have drawn this potentially as an alternative falling wedge, but I think in this context, it is likely to be an IHS. Lovely neckline there. It's nice. And that one's broken up with a target in the 25,990 area. Looking at the RTY charts, this one hadn't broken up yet, but had a possible IHS forming, again, pretty nice, and watching that, if that breaks up, it'll have a target pretty close to a retest high as well. YM, we've got, hadn't broken up on Friday, but we've got a potential double bottom here, and again, I'm leaning towards that breaking up. And really, I'm expecting to see retest the highs here across the board, likely before Christmas, and then we've got some unfinished business above I'll be talking about on the RTH charts. On DAX, again, we had an IHS break up with a target at the December high. And on ESTX, we also had an IHS break up with a target at a retest of the December high. All right, great. Let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. All right, let's have a look at ES. ES, we haven't got any open sell signals apart from the daily RSI 14 sell signals, but we broke back above the daily middle band on Friday. And we did exactly the same on SPX, and we did the same on the Qs, where all of these we had broken down below, and these all had closes above on Friday. And I'm looking for a second close above on Monday. And if we get that, then that is a confirmed close above, and I think we're probably good to go on seeing a rally upwards. We shall see. But looking at, hang on 1 second, I'm a bit of trouble with the mouse. Right, looking at the hourly chart, no current divergence, looks pretty nice. On the here, we've got an IHS which is broken up with the target at basically at a retest of 69.0346. Looks somewhat different to the one I've got on ES and better. These, you've got to always remember that the RTH charts are the dog and futures are very much the tail. Looking at Qs, we've got an IHS, again, better than the NQ one, and that's broken up with a target pretty close to a retest of the high. Looking at Dia, nice looking double bottom, again, hadn't broken up yet. This one's almost identical to the one we were looking at on the YM chart and on IWM. We've got an IHS, a little different, broken up here, and that's got a target. Again, these have all got realistically targets back at retest the all-time highs. In terms of where we're going from here, IWM and Dia had already made new all-time highs, but SPX and SPX and the Qs hadn't. What I'm expecting this to do is, because we had these head and shoulders here that broke down and then failed, I'm leaning towards pretty strongly. I would expect to see retest the all-time high at 637.01 on the Qs and on SPX, and a retest of 69.20.34. We almost made that. We got within 17 points. I'm thinking we retest this high and then we go back the rest of the way. So we've got unfinished business above at the retest of those two all-time highs. I'm also thinking we might see the same on DAX. Because again, we had a head and shoulders, it broke down, it failed, but we do have an alternative here. This may be an alternative head and shoulders forming. And if we didn't retest the high and fell from not too far above here, then we could have a very nice looking double top here. So maybe it's going to do that instead. Otherwise, I'd be leaning towards seeing a retest of that high as well. On Nikkei, at the moment, this kind of looks like a bullish triangle forming. It might widen out into some kind of other bull flag. This hasn't broken back up above the daily middle band yet. I'm expecting to see that break, and we could see after that a break up towards a retest of the high here too. All right, great. Let's have a look at DX. So bear with me a moment. All right, DX. DX, we've got a falling megaphone here, which is broken up, and I've got a possible inverted head and shoulders forming, which is basically fully formed and ready to break up. If that breaks up, then we could be seeing a full rejection back up to the high, although the target would only get us back up to about 99.375. Looking at the currencies, let's have a look at those. Right, USD. USD, looking at the daily chart, bigger picture, obviously, we've got the bigger picture falling wedge, which is trying to break up and get off the lows. We've got a little level bottom, which has broken up here. But the main thing I'm watching here is we've got a little RSI 5 sell signal fixed on the weekly chart, but on the daily chart, we've got an RSI 5 buy signal fixed, and that hasn't reached the possible near miss target yet. That might be enough to get us back a full rejection back up to the high. We will see how that goes. But the pattern setup here is basically either we've got this double bottom, which has broken up here with the target in the 104.10 to 104. I'm sorry, 104. 20 to 30 error, I think. And either that breaks up and makes that target, it's already broken up. So it either continues that target, or in all probability, we see it fell back into the lows. So in the short term, we've got a little level top, which is broken down with a target a little lower. Looking at the DX chart, I've got that target down in the 97.19 area on this. And we may make that target, but we do have a nice little falling megaphone, which looks as though it's breaking up. We've got a possible reversal pattern, and we do have a daily RSI 5 buy signal fix. Although it probably wouldn't take an awful lot for that to reach target. We will see how that goes. But we're still in a very big inflection point, which is a very strong pattern setup, battling effectively against an administration which seems to be doing everything it possibly can to reduce confidence in the dollar. All right, great. Let's have a look at the other currencies. We've got EURUSD, where we've got the corresponding bear flag to the bull flag on the dollar, and we've got GBP USD as well, with the corresponding bear flag. In terms of the daily charts, no divergence on the euro chart. On GBP, we have got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed, which leans bullish for the dollar, and is supporting the buy signal on the US dollar RSI 5. Nothing really here on USD JPY. USD CAD, we've got a weak RSI 5 buy signal fixed, which of course is again supporting more upside on the dollar. Australian dollar, we've got a weak RSI 5 sell signal, but it's already reached the possible near miss target. We will see. And NZ, we've got basically no current signals. The RSI 4 buy signal RSI 14 buy signal has already reached the possible near miss target, and I've disregarded at this stage. But we do have some decent support for this RSI 5 buy signal on the daily, and I'm leaning towards seeing at least some more upside on the US dollar chart, with really the main test at the daily middle band at 98.92. Can it break over and convert it? The signal isn't necessarily going to get us that far, but we do have some other supporting factors, and I'm thinking it might manage that. All right, great. Let's have a look at bonds. So let's have a look at ZB. Okay, ZB, we've got a possible, obviously on the bigger picture, we've got a head and shoulders which is broken down with the target on the one in the 112.04 area, and on ZN we've got a large double top which is broken down with the target in the 110.17 to 110.12 area. We had a little level bottom here on ZN that made target on Friday, so that is now done, and at the moment this is looking more like a bear flag forming than it is for anything else. But we're at a significant inflection point here on bonds where we could take these patterns which have broken and reject from them. Let's have a look at what that would look at on the bonds chart. Okay, looking at TYX. TYX, we've got an IHS which is broken up here, and at the moment there's no obvious sign of that breaking, that reversing. If we were to start looking a little more bearish here, we'd break back below the 200 DMA, which is basically just under where price is at the moment. Then the daily middle band, then the 50 DMA, and at that stage we could start looking at failing this IHS, because you need to get below this right shoulder here, which is in about the 46.4 area. That looks pretty solid, and I have to say there are good reasons to think this is going to go up. Looking at TNX. Daily chart, we've got this IHS which is already formed and broken up. This is a possible alternate IHS I draw on the daily chart. The main one is on the hourly chart here, where this is a very nice IHS which is broken up with a target in about the 43.9 area. We will see how that goes. At the moment, this looks like a bullish consolidation or triangle forming. This is a new one. This is 5-year yield. And this looks like a consolidation triangle forming since this high, which would generally break up if this is a triangle. So towards a retest of this high here at 49.88. Again, I think there are good reasons to expect that, and it's supported by TLT, where we've got a head and shoulders which is broken down with a target in the 85.10 area. These are all solid patterns, and all give us pretty good reason to think that we're going to see a breakdown here. We will see, except a couple of lines have moved around. So I'm just going to fix this quickly. Because I think that might be affecting our target. Sometimes these things move around a bit, which is annoying, but it is what it is. Okay, right. Let's have a look. This actually has the target down at about the 84.5 area on TLT. And again, there's no particular reason at the moment to think that won't make target. I don't have any daily buy signals here, but looking at the chart for, hang on, bear with me. I'm looking at the charts for ZB and ZN. I am wondering short term about a breakup or a decent rally. We will see. All right, great. Let's have a look at CL. Now, CL's been rolled into February this week, and I've done the same with HO and NG. Here we've got, we went down and made a low below 56, which ticked a box on the bigger picture charts, and so far this looks like a bear flag forming. I'm leaning towards seeing some more downside. HO hasn't retested the October low yet, and I'm leaning towards seeing that. Possible little short-term double bottom forming here. We'll see. Looking at RBOB, possible overall falling megaphone forming here, but we've made a lot of room to the downside, but this looks like a bear flag forming, so I'm thinking we may well come back and retest the low again. Looking at NG, we've seen a very sharp decline from this high here. This was looking like a breakout, but this reversal, this looks like a strong rejection, so this looks like a failed breakout now. We are finding a low here. We've got a potential little level bottom. If we see a breakup over about 4.22, then that would potentially get us back into the monthly pivot area at 4.691. All right, great. Let's have a look at the bigger picture on that. So bear with me a moment. Right, now on oil, looking at the picture we've been looking at for quite a while here. Obviously, on all of the monthly charts of oil, WTIC, heating oil and gas oil, we've got these falling wedges which have broken up, but we are actually seeing some progress here. I've been talking for quite a while about possible retest of this low here at 56.06, and that if we went down and touched the wedge support trend line, that I would need to redraw this, showing it as unbroken and redrawing it through this high here. We haven't reached that point yet, but I am thinking we might, because while there's no need for WTIC to go any lower here, we haven't actually quite retested the low on heating oil, and we've done something else on heating oil, which is that we broke up from an inverted head shoulders here, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, broke up, and it's failed. This would generally have a target at a retest of the low here at 1.937. And there's every reason to think that we might see that here. Now, gas oil is a different story. Gas oil has already reached that wedge support, so I've already redrawn this trend line here, and no current positive divergence, and might again need to go a bit lower while it heads down to that target. So we will see how that goes. But I am thinking we may well see. I think we may well see a low which could go as low as 50 on WTIC, and if we reach that, I'll really be looking for a buy entry. Because I think we're pretty close to baseline price levels outside a serious crisis, which forms a sell-off well below any reasonable value. So if that doesn't happen, because obviously I can't see any obvious reason why it would, then I think any crisis is likely to make it scarcer and push prices up rather than down. So I think once we get down to that level, I think we might be looking at a long that lasts a year or two and potentially goes up doubles the price on WTIC and potentially does that or more, and the others here too. Looking at natural gas. Natural gas, we had a what looked like a breakout, and we've seen then a massive rejection. That rejection is currently holding. I'm interested to see where this is at the end of the month, because it's possible that we could get a full monthly rejection engulfing rejection candle. So I'm watching out for that. Not absolutely vital, but certainly would be interesting. On the daily chart, no current divergence. Another retest of this low could set that up. I am wondering, though, if we might see a larger rally from here. But here we haven't quite retested the low, so we don't have the nice-looking double bottom that we've got on the March chart. So this obviously is the spot price. So acts a little differently. We will see how that goes, but certainly this spike up here has been, well, the technical impact has been largely negated by this very strong and very, very fast rejection. We will see how that goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at gold. Okay, looking at gold. Gold, we're seeing a bit more upside here. I'm expecting to see a retest of the all-time high soon. I'm a little concerned about this potential resistance at this resistance trend line. Silver, this has been tearing up. We've pretty much made it up to 68. Possible little level top here, but nothing compelling saying that we're going to make a high here. I am a little concerned about this trend line here, which is quite a nice one, and watching that, but I wouldn't be at all surprised to see that break. Palladium, been doing very well, made the target up at the retest of this high here, has been proceeding higher, and I've got a potential inverted head and shoulders, which I've been talking about, and that may well break up. Platinum, we'd already had an IHS break up here, and we are going great guns, and we've now broken over 2,000. HG, we had a double top form breakdown here, and we've now got a potential larger double top here after this rejected back up into the high. Doesn't necessarily have to break down here, but I got to say there are a number of reasons to think that copper might go down. We will see. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts on those. Okay, gold. We're in uncharted territory here, and obviously look at the fairly wild action on the monthly. This is on the monthly RSIs. This is really something extraordinary. And I remember thinking it was pretty wild when we were back here in 2010, but this is really something else. I think this could still however, run on quite a while longer. We don't have any meaningful negative divergence on the daily chart here, and this triangle has broken up with a target at retest the high, which we have almost reached and may well reach tomorrow. We will see how that goes, but we only need to get up another seven handles, and that retest is done. But I don't think that's going to be a high. We'll see. We've got a bit of negative divergence on the silver daily here, but obviously we're on a tear here. I'm not seeing anything compelling saying this is about to finish. Palladium. We've got an IHS here. I've been talking about this the last couple of weeks, and this was the palladium IHS breaking up with a target in about the 25.50 area. We will see how that goes, but at the moment, I think these could have the legs to do it. And actually, platinum's already a long way. I called this one a while ago because obviously it broke up a lot earlier. And here I've got a target back up at 22.90, which was sounding pretty ambitious when I gave it when it broke up from here. But actually, we're most of the way there. We're over 2,000 now, and I've got an extended target, which I'm now looking at, which is up in about the 2400 2450 area. And I'm thinking that might be doable too. We've had some sell signals here, but on the weekly chart here, we had a sell signal that's failed. We've almost lost this RSI 5 sell signal, but the RSI 14 one has already failed. It's not the only one. Looking at the palladium chart, got something. Yeah, I had negative divergence, and we've lost that on the RSI 14 and the RSI 5. These are powerful moves, and I think the more confidence dribbles away from the dollar, and the more interest there are in alternatives for it. Well, these are now behaving like precious metals rather than like industrial metals, and I'm thinking that could take them up a long way. We'll see how that goes. All right, looking at copper. Copper, there's every reason to think this is going to go down, frankly. So I'm surprised this has been holding up as well as it has. We will see. We've got RSI 14 sell signal fixed and an RSI 5 sell signal fixed. So I really do like the prospects for the double top going down. But having said that, I'm actually pretty surprised it's managed to get up this far. We will see. Could we be going for a retest this high here? Yes, but we really wouldn't be forming a double top. It's just too large for it, I think. So I can't think of any good reason to go back up and retest that high. Normally, we'd be looking for a retest to set up a reversal pattern, but that wouldn't be the case here. GDX has gone higher. We've still got possible weekly sell signals brewing, but the double top is looking less impressive as it every time it goes higher. In terms of the daily chart, no current divergence. Hourly chart, nothing suggesting a reversal. There's got opportunities here. We've got a little level top here, for instance, but there's nothing suggesting it's going to break down. GDX looks pretty much the same, apart from we've got a possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing here on the daily. We will see how that goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at the other commodities. All right, KC. KC is continuing down here, and I've got the double top support down here and pretty close to breaking it. 60-minute buy signal fixed, but so far it's just been trickling down on the buy signal. That's delivered absolutely nothing. Looking at sugar, this still looks like a bear flag forming. I'm still wondering about the double bottom making target in the 15.43 area. Looking at CC, Cocoa has broken down from this rising megaphone. Possible little double top here, which could take us back up into a high retest. That could very much be the second high of a double top if we see that. Looking at cotton, we've got a potential double bottom here. Sorry, something weird is happening with my chart here, but I couldn't fix it tonight, so I'll be looking at that tomorrow. We will see how that goes, but in the meantime, you can see quite clearly we've got a potential double bottom here. I think that has a shot. We will see. Lumber, rolled that into March. We've got looks a little different on the December chart, no, January chart, I think it was, where we had an IHS which is broken up. Sorry, double bottom that had broken up. Here, it's an IHS and it's broken up with a higher target in the 620 area. Not seeing anything compelling, to suggest that won't make target. ZW, I've got actually ZW. I was looking at this and I've actually found this falling channel here, which is pretty nice. Possible IHS forming here. I'm thinking we might be breaking back up towards this current channel resistance in the 525 area. Looking at corn. Overall, this is looking like a rough consolidation triangle. Normally, if so, these would break to the upside. Possible 60 minutes, actual 60-minute sell signal has fixed. All right, soy and soybean oil. I've rolled these both into March from January, and we've got a weak 60-minute buy signal fixed on soybeans, which made the head and shoulder target. So I am wondering if we might see a rally, but so far we're not seeing a lot of action on that. ZL. Nice looking falling channel here, and we've got a potential double bottom and we will see whether we're going to break up. We have got a 60-minute buy signal fixed. Looking at live cattle. Live cattle, this looks like a possible level top forming, but I suspect it's a bullish consolidation waiting for the next leg up. And on lean hogs, we've got a IHS, which is broken up here with a target. IHS? No, it's double bottom. All right, double bottom that's broken up with a target in the 88.65 to 90.2 area. And I think this is a bullish consolidation before we head up there. Again, this could be a double top, but I suspect that it isn't. All right, great. Let's have a look at the other charts. All right. Coffee. I've been talking about this nested double top here for a while, and we've seen some action this week, and we have broken down from this double top support with a target basically at the main double top support or slightly below it at 2.783. I'm thinking it's going to make target. The RSI 5 daily sell signal has already, weekly sell signal has already made target. Looking at the daily chart, the RSI 14 sell signal has made target too, and you can see pretty nicely it's broken below the double top support. So I'm leaning towards the downside. Bigger picture, there is a lot of downside to be had. We are trading quite a long way outside the traditional areas where coffee trades, so it wouldn't surprise me to see this do a fairly hard reversion to the mean. Sugar, I'm still wondering whether we've got a head. Well, I know we've got a head and shoulders here, which is broken down with a target really in about the 905 area, and I'm not seeing anything compelling to suggest that won't make target. We have a couple of options for a rally here, but nothing's delivered anything so far. No obvious reversal pattern here at the moment. Looking at cocoa, which again is trading well outside traditional areas, I'm thinking we might be seeing a bit of a rally here, but bigger picture, I'm leaning towards the downside. Here we had a buy signal on the RSI 14. That's reached the possible near miss target. Might be working up towards a reversal pattern here, but there's nothing firm here at the moment. We will see. All right, wheat. No current divergence. I'm wondering here whether we might see a retest of this low. That could very easily be the second low of a double bottom. If we should see that, we'll see. But we've got a double bottom that's broken up with a target up here in about the 575 to 580 area, but it does look as though that's probably failing. On corn, we've got a very nice looking potential larger double bottom here, and we are seeing a bit of action to the upside, and I think we might see some more. On the daily chart, I am wondering about this rising wedge I've drawn in here, which is pretty nice with very solid trend lines. I'm wondering, one, whether we might see a retracement here, and two, I'm wondering whether possibly this might be a bear flag. So I'm wondering whether this might be setting up another retest of the low. We shall see. Looking at soybeans, we have this move up basically on this apparent deal with China to buy 12 billion tons of soybeans this year. Very little of that has been purchased. I've heard estimates ranging from 300,000 tons to 2 million tons, which out of the 12 is not an awful lot. So soybeans went up and soybeans have been coming down again. Obviously, there is a political issue here where if we see another deal with China, and anyone believes at this time, then we might see some movement up. But at the moment, it seems to be reverting back to exactly where it was, and it's pretty much made it back to where it was before that Chinese deal was arranged. All right, on the daily chart, the sell signal on the RSI 14s and RSI 5s have made target. No current divergence, nothing suggesting we're about to see a rally here. Looking at cotton. We've got a lovely looking potential overall double bottom here, which is just waiting for some buyers to come and ignite a move, which would then take us up into about the 87.5 to 90 area. We have been waiting a while for those buyers, I will say. So it's been since we made this low in June. Obviously, it's been 6 months, so waiting to see. But I'm quite liking the setup to go up from here, and maybe that'll be enough to break it out of this consolidation range. Looking at lumber, we've got this big 3-year now bear flag forming, and This is something which I've been expecting to break down for months. Hasn't done it yet, but I'm still expecting it to. We've got on the smaller picture, we've got this double bottom which is broken down. On the bigger picture, that double bottom is this first high and this second high and this breakdown here, and that would have a target down at the bear flag target, which would be a reversal back down to this low here. If the bear flag breaks down, that would be the target, and the double top that's already broken down, that is the target. So I'm really liking that target, and lumber, like copper, there's plenty to go down about. Lumber has been holding up reasonably well. Copper has been holding up reasonably well. Both of those I was expecting to go down before, and I'm still expecting them to go down. We shall see. All right, great. Let's have a look at the crypto charts. Now, here, I've been watching these, I've been basically watching how the bear flags have done. And the bear flags broke down on all three of them. On Bitcoin, it hasn't made the target basically at the retest of the low. And we've got a little level top that's broken down, and we've got a potential little level bottom, which is then formed in the opposite direction. I am thinking we might form a larger flag here, because if we are now in the center rally, and we're going to see a bullish week on equities this week, that's going to be a struggle to make any downside action on crypto. So I'm thinking this might be forming a larger flag. I'm thinking on Ethereum, we might be forming a larger flag, because again, that broke down but didn't make the retest of the low. And actually, I was talking about on Friday to someone about potential IHSs forming here, and I'm just going to draw them in for you. And those are, all right, here's the one on Ethereum, and that is this IHS here. It's broken up over the weekend, and that, well, bear with me. So I'm just going to draw these in for you. And all right, let's see the arrow there. All right. These are only small patterns. I'm thinking this might go higher, but this is a little IHS on Ethereum, which is broken up with a target in about 3250 area. So I'm thinking that may well make target, and I've got an equivalent one on Solana. And Solana, obviously we've got the flag here, and we've got the breakdown, and this is the close-up of the flag, and there's another IHS here. So let's just draw that in and give you a target. So, because I'm thinking if equity is going to be rallying here, then it's going to be, chances are, we're going to see some rallying on the others too. Now, Solana did make the bear flag target at a retest of the lows, so that is already done. But I'm not really expecting it to make a huge amount of upside. If we'd had three double bottoms form on Solana, on Bitcoin, and Ethereum, I'd be thinking we'd have actually potential for a pretty strong rally here, but we didn't get that. That didn't happen. So we've only got the breakdown on Solana, and that actually doesn't look particularly like a double bottom either. So, but we do have potential for this rally, and this is the IHS, and that's broken up with a target in about the 138 area. We will see how that goes. Bigger picture, when we have finished the center rally, and if we see a reversal back down on equities, which I suspect we're going to, then we've got unfinished business below. We've got a target at a retest of 95.24 on Solana. We've got a target back at a retest, backtest of 2050 on Ethereum, and we've got a pretty obvious target area on Bitcoin down here at about 74.4 area. And potential head and shoulder neckline, obvious next big support level. I'm thinking all these three have a pretty good chance of hitting in January, and that's what I'm waiting for. In the meantime, I'm not looking for a big bounce on crypto, but I'm hoping for a reasonable bounce on equities. We will see whether I get either or both. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. I will catch you guys again on Sunday, and everyone take care.